You may notice in some of my videos, I'll tell you that even when you solve somebody's problem and show them, they argue with you. Now, this is a basic, cheap meter. It does capacitors, resistors. But you notice it's got a selector knob. Okay? Now, if you want to measure voltage or resistance, you have to put this in the correct place. Okay? You're not going to argue that, right? And then in some cases, you have to move the leads. They're not going to move themselves. All right? Well, just showing you that for now. Now we're going to go to the story. All right, so I hear my boss calling me, and I go over and he goes, "You got to get back there. So-and-so's having a problem." I go, "Okay." And this kid that has a problem considers himself to be a genius. Okay? Always a scary thing. So I go back there, and I said, "What's the problem? The boss sent me back here." Now he's mad because I'm back there. "You won't believe this." Blah, 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 blah. He's spinning this machine around. It's actually a copier, but it's a test bed. It's set up in such a way you could change any board really quick. It's the most important, one of the most important things in each section is your test bed. You want to keep it up and running. Well, his was down. And the problem was he started troubleshooting it. And he had voltage coming out of everything. And he goes over and he shows me the plug. He says the plug is out of the wall. And he spins the copier test bed around to show me there are no other wires going into the copier. And he starts showing me the voltages. And he's got all these wires cut. He's cut harnesses and look, I still have voltage. Look, I still have voltage. Voltage everywhere. Voltage coming in. And he starts going like that type of shit. I'm like, "Oh, calm down, let me look." So I look, and he's got his meter, like, let me see this meter now. Yeah, this is almost perfect. He's got his meter on ohms. So he's measuring ohms, not voltage. But the back side, this one is milliamps, but the back side of the selector was pointing to voltage. Now, I pointed that out to him. I said, and it's like, it's the meter's fault now. Because if you look real quick at this, and you don't pay attention, you could see this. If you need glasses, which he did, you say that this side is now the pointer. In an idiot's mind, okay? So I point out to the fact that he's got his meter on ohms. So I flip it around, I put it on voltage, and he takes some measurements, and now he has no voltage. But he's cut all these wires in the test bed. So the boss comes back over, and he's embarrassed a little bit, but he's doubling down. And "I have voltage everywhere. Blah 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 blah. I unplugged it. Blah 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 blah." I said he had his meter on ohms, and the boss is just looking at me like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me." I said, "No." He didn't see the selector. You know, it's one of those AI, artificial intelligence meters, where basically you can put this wherever you want, and the meter's going to read what you want it to read. That's how bad it was getting. So I had to leave. I went and sat down, and a couple months go by, and he goes around and tells everybody he's leaving. He's going to one of our district offices. So I'm like, "Oh, okay." So he leaves, and things got better in that section. You know, if they put someone over there that actually knew what they were doing, they kept coming over to me. "You won't believe what he did. You won't believe what he did." I said, "Yes, I will. Yes, I will." Okay. And the other thing he had a habit of, he would label everything, you know, line cord. He actually wrote line cord. He put tape on it, wrote the words line cord, on, off on switches that said on, off, but he made it bigger. And this is because he had bad eyesight and he refused to get glasses. So anyway, he goes off and he works for this other part of the company, and they kept calling us, "You got to take this guy back. He's dumber than a shoe." And my boss was like, "No, we don't want him back. You got to fire him if you don't want him." And they're like, "Well, we don't want to fire someone. We never fired anyone before." And it went back and forth, and finally they did get rid of the guy. But you want to see that guy double down on me when I told him he had his meter in ohms. And then he insisted the other side was the pointer. Okay? And I'm like, man, why me? Why me? You know, and then when you get it all straightened out, you know, oh, and that test bed had to be scrapped out. $1,000 test bed, whatever it was. They brought a new copier in, and then someone else went over and turned it into a test bed. But he just started cutting, and he was measuring ohms, thinking it was voltage. And it does on a digital meter. You see numbers up here. And the same with an analog meter. You'll see the needle move. And if you're reading the wrong scale, yeah, you got 12 volts there. Meanwhile, it's whatever ohms it is. But that's the stuff I went through with people. And then the one guy, he's putting in these data lines. And he's got these square pieces of plywood, 1 foot square, and these giant freaking resistors on there. And they're terminating resistors for this network. I said, what is that? Oh, you got to have these on there. They're terminations. I said, they're inductive resistors. They got windings in them of nichrome wire. And he's looking at me like, okay. He took a home study course for television. He don't know one resistor from another. He's got like a 50 amp. He's got a 50 watt resistor in something that's working microamps or volts. It's a couple volts. And I'm trying to explain to him wattage and voltage. And you realize he didn't get the concept when he took the home study course. And then the other thing, he's showing me these resistors that have 2 mounting screws on them. And he says, how could this little resistor be 20 watts? I said, oh, it has to be mounted to a heatsink. He just stares at me like I'm freaking crazy. I said, no, wattage has to do with heat dissipation. And he's just staring at me. I said, bigger resistors can handle more wattage. And he's just staring at me. And I said, if you take two resistors that are the same value and put them in series, the resistance goes up and so does the wattage, because the surface area of the resistor can now dissipate the heat. Staring at me again. I realized at that point he was never going to understand wattage. Okay? And you can go back to the basics, but I learned that when you sit there with a pencil and paper and go through something with some people understand it for like a day and a half and then it's gone. Okay? That was one of the things I realized, like with my father. He wasn't able to, he was able to learn stuff, but he couldn't retain it. He'd watch a television show. And a few weeks later, it was a rerun. He's watching the show, and he says to me, this program seems familiar to me. I said, yeah, you saw that episode. No, I didn't. I said, you just got done saying it looked familiar to you. And then I said, no, it was on before. No, it wasn't. So I start telling him what's coming next. And he's staring at me. Didn't realize that as he was getting older, he was losing his retention. Okay? And then I know I'm losing my retention. Okay? And I get stressed out, and I don't remember, but I know it's because of aging. Okay? I knew I had a good memory at one time. But it's amazing. Other people, they just have these big, giant egos. And they deny certain things. It's like that one neighbor I walked with. And 3 days before he died, he come over and he goes, I want to ask you, do you think I should go for chemotherapy? I said, that ship's passed. He was supposed to go months before, but he put it off, and now he's dying. And I said, I said to him, I said, if there's something you really want to do, you still got your health. I said, do it tomorrow. But I said, you got limited days left. And he's just looking at me. I said, is there something you really want to do? And he couldn't come up with something. I said, well, maybe it's time. 3 days later, he was dead. Okay? This is the sort of thing when you get older and you get the wisdom and you realize what's coming, and the person is clueless, totally clueless. And you're standing there going, should I tell them? Or should I just keep quiet? In my case now is I got to get the hell out of there. I got to get away from this person, because they're like, well, I just made this mistake. What? Well, you're going to have to buy a new one. No, there's no way to fix that. You broke it. It's not going to be worth fixing it. I had a woman that lived next door to me in New Jersey, and she paid $80 a year service on an RCA television set, a portable. The set was like $150. She spent $80 a year. It went bad, and then it was up to her to go drive it halfway across New Jersey, drop it off, then come pick it up. And then she got it back, and she was like, well, I'm not really that satisfied with it. Now she's noticing the picture's dim, and I'm like, that's really old. Why? I spent $80 a year for service on that. I said, they're not going to give you a new picture tube. I realized that. I spent $80 a year. Now she's going to go $80 a year in a circle, $80 in a year circle. And I had said to her years before, you don't spend $80 a year service insurance on a television set that's worth $150. Okay, you just don't do it. But those RCAs, they used to lose diodes, but it's a very simple fix. But the repair depot that she had to take it to was I'd say half a tank of gas. She got someone stupid enough to drive her there. I wasn't going to drive her there. It wasn't my television set. All right, I told her straight out. I said, look, I don't get warranties on my products. If it goes bad, I might fix it myself, or I just buy another one. I said, I'm not getting involved. I'm not driving your television set all the way out to the other side of New Jersey, drop it off, and then go back and pick it up. If you don't realize that's 4 trips. Or 4, you got to go out, you got to come back. Then you got to go pick it up, you got to go out, you got to come back. So if it's 50 miles each way, that's 200 miles of driving to get a television set that should be in the garbage repaired. But I realize a lot of this stuff now that I have time to think about it. And you look back and you're like, how stupid was that guy? But, the boss would make you go over there. Go over and see what that guy's problem is. And he's got voltage, magic voltage coming from everywhere because he's got the meter on ohms. And then when you show him he's got the meter on, why did he get pissed? He's pissed at me. He's pissed at the meter. He's not upset with himself. See, those are the biggest fatheads. It's never their fault. Okay? They don't make mistakes. Everybody else makes mistakes. It's everybody else's fault. Okay? That's why I stick to my guns. Like people are, one guy's still making comments. Look, I told you that radio is a recapping exception. And I said, why? And you can keep babbling about recapping and all the stuff you guys babble about and argue. And I found out that I did that video just because I realized it would get more views than my really good videos. Okay? That's what you have to realize, that the cat video is going to get 1 million views. Oh, cat sings a song. Okay. So, person's playing the guitar, and the cat's going, meow, meow, meow. Cat's singing. Million views. Meanwhile, you're trying to show someone how to reprogram a computer to get rid of a problem. Nah, 200 views, 400 views, maybe a couple thank yous. Okay? The cat video, 1 million views. Cat singing. The cat's not singing. It's just responding to the noise of the guitar. But that's the real world. Okay? People want to see a video where a cat sings. Okay? People want to see a video so they can complain about recapping. You got to use better caps. They don't even know what I use, and they're already saying stuff to me. Okay? It's like I put the same flower pot caps into the radio that were in there. I watched the video. No, they want to argue. And that's why I said, when I showed that guy the meter was in the wrong position, he didn't want to see that. He wanted to see that voltage was coming out of the sky. That's how it works with some people. I think that's it. All right, that's it.